Oh hey, if you're wondering why I'm out on a bridge in the middle of a snowstorm with my fat bike, it's because I wanted to talk about these boots right here, and I thought, what better way to talk about it than to show it in its element. So let's get into it. So these are the Wolfgar Boas from 45 North, and honestly, they're probably the warmest fat bike specific boot you can get. And what I mean by that is they're rated for down to negative 25 degrees Fahrenheit, and I have found that to be very true. They've got one of those heat reflective materials on the inside that you see like with all the shiny little dots, and that is to help keep heat in, as well as they've got a wool liner inside that you can remove if you need to, but that helps wick moisture away because your feet are actually going to be warmer than you think. They can be used with flats if you leave the little rubber piece on that screws in, or you can use them clipless, which is what I have been doing the whole time that I have had them. Each boot has a 2 BOA system. A BOA, if you've never used it before, it's basically like a little thing you twist to tighten, and then when you want to loosen everything, you pull up and it pops out and allows you to just kind of pull the threads through. I feel like those are a fairly controversial system. Some people love them and then some people hate them. I've never really preferred BOA. I just feel like I can't get things tight in the way that I want because you're really only able to adjust it by screwing it in, and you can't really control where the tightness is. That's still true with these, but I also have not had any reliability problems, which is actually what most people complain about. I haven't had anything break, and a nice thing is they're easy to use when you're out in super cold or snowy conditions when you've got gloves on. It can be hard to deal with laces or anything like that, but these are easy to use. Just, yeah, come on. You just pop it out, that's loose, and I put it down, and then I can twist to tighten. Now, up until about a year ago, I didn't really use fat bike boots, and then I got some from Blivet. Before that, I was just using whatever insulated hiking boots I had because they worked great, and I was running flat pedals, and I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money on these boots. These boots are pretty expensive. They're going to run you about 400 bucks, but they do seem to go on sale a lot. Right now, I was able to see them for about 200, which isn't that far out there for, compared to some hiking boots are going to be even more than that. Actually, a lot of hiking boots are going to be more than that. So they're not that ridiculous if you're going to use them. True to form, these are extremely warm. It is, I think, 16 out here right now, and my feet are borderline too hot. And I just have some very thin wool socks on, so nothing major, and they're extremely warm. I believe their rating on this. Sometimes manufacturers put some rating and you think there's no way that's true. I believe it with them. These boots are easier to walk in than I thought they would be. I feel like they've broken in a little. When I first put them on, I felt like I was walking in moon boots, and they kind of look that way. My wife makes fun of me every time I put them on. She says it looks like I'm a toddler and I don't know which feet they go on because they're so like rounded and bulbous. It's kind of hard to tell which foot they're supposed to be on. But the tops have kind of worn in a little bit. They do still kind of rub. If I wear these in the truck driving to the trailhead or something, they cut into the back of my leg a little bit, but they've broken in a lot to where they're not doing that as much anymore, and I feel like I can totally hike in them, which, speaking of, the bottom is actually great on traction. I've walked on icy spots, I walked in fresh powder like this, I've walked on packed stuff, and I've never experienced like a lot of slipping and sliding like I have in other boots. Back on the bulkiness thing though, I have noticed that I get quite a bit of crank arm rub. So when my foot is clipped in, especially on my left one, there used to be a logo right here, and the black part of it that said 45N is gone. It rubbed off, and actually that was on the first ride that I used. The right side is still there, so maybe it's just the way I prefer my left foot, but there's a good chance you will experience some crank arm rub if that's something that bugs you or you want to watch out for. 45 North actually sent these to me all the way back in, I want to say November, but we had a fairly warm November, December, and even the first little bit of January, and so I didn't get to wear them at all. I was gonna wear them for Fat Pursuit, but Fat Pursuit ended up being like the coldest it was on the 60K was maybe 10. It might have been a little bit colder than that, but 5 to 10, and the warmest was almost like 20, in the 20s. And I'm glad that I didn't wear these because they would have been way too warm. I saw some people with them on, but I'm glad that I went with the Blivet shoe on that. It's just a little bit lighter. And if you're going to be riding in temperatures that are a little bit warmer, you know, I would say in the 5 and up Fahrenheit, I would go look at some of 45 North's other options because they have some more easy weather boots. If you're not going to be doing that, if you're going to be riding in extreme cold, a lot of snow, you don't know, it's going to be kind of brutal conditions, or you're out for hours and hours and hours, I highly recommend these. They are amazing. One other thing I'll mention is the waterproofness. The way these close and everything, I can't imagine you getting much water in there, and everything is very tight and sealed, and just I haven't had any issues. I feel like I could put these on and go walk through 3 feet of snow or ride outside in negative 15 degrees for hours and have no problems. Another issue that I have had is with the Clipless setup. I originally preferred my winter boots, like I said, because I was riding with flat pedals and they were warmer than all the cycling specific shoes that I had. I also, though, didn't want to deal with getting snow stuck in my cleat, which doesn't allow you to clip in. And then you have to sit there and bang your foot against the side of your pedal or against a rock and try and get that snow out before you can actually clip in. I didn't have that many issues with the Blivet shoes. In fact, those ones I've had very rarely had any issues with needing to do that. These is way more common. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just the cleat is a little bit farther out or there's not enough room in there. It's a tighter clearance or something, but I've had way more issues with that, especially in soft snow like right now. Look at that. It's completely compacted in there. Have to try and get it out, and it's just been causing me a lot of problems in softer stuff. It's not as big of a deal when you're on something groomed or it's colder and it's more icy basically. But anything where the snow is soft and can get stuck in there, it's going to on these. A year ago, if you told me that, I would say that's not a big deal. I'll just use them as flat. But I really like to ride clipless all the time, more than I thought I would. So it's a little bit of an issue for me, and I don't know. I might try and rig something up to keep it from doing that. So that's kind of my review of these boots. I've used them maybe 10 or 15 times now, and I like them way more than I thought. I feel like I've seen a lot of reviews of them and people either love them or hate them, and I was kind of skeptical that I would like them, but they're way better than I thought they would be in the 100 or 150 miles that I've put in them, which equates to a lot more hours than you'd think because of stuff like this. I have literally gone not even a mile, and it's taken me about 25 minutes because it's so fresh in the snow. Well, it looks like the sun is coming out, the snow is letting up, and I can actually see where I'm riding. At the beginning of this ride, I was dying because you can see people have driven down it, and I could not see where the ridges were from underneath, and there's a lot harder, so I was like falling all the time. See how wiggly I was? But anyway, if you're considering these boots, those are my experience with it, the pros and cons. I think they are a great extreme weather boot. They have a few little flaws that kind of come along with being so warm. They're gonna be bulkier, and that's kind of annoying. And then the clipless issue with things getting kind of compacted in the cleats. But other than that, I think they're a good option if you're into some of this extreme weather riding and want something cycling specific. I am going to have a video coming out soon about these right here, the Pogies, and kind of talk about, oh, look at that. It's like a 45 North commercial right there. But talk about my experience with gloves versus Pogies and when you should use each. So subscribe if you want to see that. But let me know what you think of these boots down in the comments, or what is your winter setup. I'd love to hear it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.